The plan was to record a video about food riots. However, neither my camera nor my microphones are charged. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Michelle, and around here we talk about 18th century women's history and what it's like to be a rookie novelist. Today I want to talk about food riots. These were somewhat prevalent during the American Revolution, and while the revolution is kind of further out than I typically focus on, I kind of drop out at the Declaration of Independence, if you will. While this is a little bit past my normal time frame, I do think that these food riots were a really important way that women exercise political agency. So I do want to take a look. So as I often do around here, I want to start by reading some contemporary material. And this is a letter from Abigail Adams, who we love. I actually transcribed this letter because while Abigail is so good at storytelling, sometimes her punctuation can get a little confusing. So hopefully I've done this in a way that will sound a little more natural to a modern ear. Here's what she had to say. You must know, oh, you know what? I should probably tell you first that this was a letter to John Adams. Let's try this again. You must know that there is a great scarcity of sugar and coffee, articles which the female part of the state are both loath to give up, especially whilst they consider the scarcity occasioned by the merchants having secreted a large quantity. It was rumored that an eminent, wealthy, stingy merchant, who was a bachelor, had a hogshead of coffee in his store which he refused to sell to the committee under 6 shillings per pound. A number of females, some say 100, some say more, assembled a cart and trucks, marched down to the warehouse, and demanded the keys, which he, the merchant, refused to deliver, upon which one of them seized him by his neck and tossed him into the cart. Upon his finding no quarter, he delivered the keys, when they tipped up the cart and discharged him. Then opened the warehouse, hoisted out the coffee themselves, put it into trucks, and drove off. A large concourse of men stood amazed, silent spectators of the whole transaction. So that letter was from Abigail Adams to her husband, John, and she was describing the events of what became known as the Coffee Riot of July 24th, 1777. It happened in Boston. In that instance, merchant Thomas Boylston was keeping goods off the market so he could raise prices on them. And that's why the women got upset, went down, put him in a cart, and started stealing his provisions. There were rumors that they spanked him. Don't know that that is true, but they did likely take some of the provisions that they stole and distributed them to poor folks in Boston. Women participated in food riots and often led them as well. During the American Revolution, while the men were off fighting the war, women were left home taking care of homes and businesses and farms and feeding their families. They were confident in doing so, and they understood how commerce worked. And that's what made them confident in leading these types of protests. Not only was this a way for them to make sure that they were able to feed their families and run their businesses, but because women couldn't hold office or vote, these food riots became really an important form of political protest. During the American Revolution, women marched, they confiscated goods, they held people accountable. And with the goods they confiscated, they distributed them to people who needed them. Women were political actors. One might even say revolutionary. So I'd like to recommend two books that in part examine how women participated in the American Revolution. The first is A Woman's Dilemma, Mercy Otis Warren and the American Revolution by Rosemarie Zagari. And then also The Unexpected Abigail Adams, A Woman Not Apt to Be Intimidated by John L. Smith Jr. So as always, I've put together an article that will be on my website. I have also put together a little creative that takes a look at how it might have felt to participate in one of these food riots. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video.